You are living in the most dangerous time in American history.
We won't take a single back step.
Former professional basketball player is now the Republican Party's choice.
Can you imagine Royce White, the U.S. Senate?
White won the endorsement on May 18th with 67% of the vote.
There's nothing that guarantees we win, but I guarantee you if we lose, we will die. Good evening. Welcome back to another episode of Please Call Me Crazy, brought to you by Free People Radio and powered by our favorite sponsor, TireGet.com. That's TireGet.com. You have to buy tires from somebody. You might as well buy them from us. Help fund the movement. Help support the movement. We believe in the freedom of movement, and that's exactly what the establishment wants to take from you now. I'm your host, Royce White. I'm here in the belly of the beast, Minneapolis, Minnesota, and this is episode 311. Today is March 18th, Wednesday, March 18th, year of our Lord, 2026. Deus Vult to everybody out there in the audience and all around the world. We're happy to be back with you again. It's been a while since I've been in the chair, been a while since we've done a Please Call Me Crazy. We've been trying to get our schedule together with the new daily show. If you're not aware, we've officially launched the new Drive Time daily call-in live stream over on Free People Radio. You can find that on all the Free People Radio social media. If you don't know where to find Free People Radio on social media, go to freepeopleradio.com and it'll give you the links that you need to find the show. We're streaming every morning, 7 to 9 a.m. Central, and in the later hour, usually sometimes hour to a half tomorrow morning, we're going to do an hour and a half of opening the phone lines or the Zoom link so people can join in the conversation, call in, ask questions, debate, tell me that I'm batshit crazy if that's what you think. So that's officially been launched. For the last 2 weeks, we've been, just crazy busy trying to get that organized and making sure that's up and running the right way. Now that it is, we're back to our regular schedule with the Please Call Me Crazy podcast, or I'll be doing Please Call Me Crazy on a regular basis from now on. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Same time, same place. And we're doubling up the content, almost tripling up the content. As well as I'm still Real America's Voice Saturday mornings, 9 a.m. Eastern. And lately I've been doing Sunday nights of some 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Central on InfoWars for the great Alex Jones. And we'll continue to do that as long as InfoWars stays open. And hopefully when Alex moves to his new venue or his new venture, I'll be able to share some time on that platform as well. So thanks for being here again. We're happy to be back today. This morning, we talked about the Joe Kent thing in depth, and we talked about Israel and this entire narrative that's breaking out about Christianity and Christian nationalism and the fracture or the tension in the MAGA movement because of it, criticism of President Trump. I just want to say on the front end of the show, if you want to listen to a more in-depth conversation about Joe Kent and that entire developing story in American politics, not just Joe Kent, but the war and the tension in the MAGA movement, you can go and watch the playback. You can go back and watch the rerun of the White House this morning. I'm sorry, the daily show is called The White House. It's on Free People Radio, but it's called The White House. It's the only thing on there now, so you won't have trouble finding it. But you can go back and watch The White House from this morning, and me and Professor Penn spent 2 hours talking about Joe Kent, Israel, the Jewish identity, and the deep state, really. So I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about it here. I will say, you see I'm still wearing my Make Minnesota Great hat again as a offshoot or subset subsequent of the Make America Great Again hat and the Make America Great Again movement. We can't abandon ship. I'm not in that. I'm not of that thinking. I'm not in that wing of the movement, and I'm not going to support that strategy because I don't think it's right. I think it's a lack of temperance, and I think it also lacks a proper order. of things, both love and charity. And a lot recently, if you're watching the show on Saturday morning, if you're watching the morning show, if you've been watching on Alex Jones, I've been talking a lot about St. Augustine's City of God, his famous writing, literary work, City of God, and the idea that emerged from it, known as Ordo Amoris, which in Latin means rightly ordered love. And later on, St. Thomas Aquinas would expand on it, and it would become known as Ordo Caritatis, which means rightfully ordered charity, or the order of charity. And in City of God, St. Augustine gives what I think is probably one of the most eloquent and beautiful statements in the history of human civilization. Really gives a proper heading, a proper direction and guide for the Christian citizen. And in that time, the Christian citizen was living in the city of God, right? And what that means to be a citizen. He said, a brief and true definition of virtue is rightly ordered love. A brief and true definition of virtue is rightly ordered love. St. Augustine, City of God. And that rightful order, he goes into detail, and he talks about the geometric significance of the order. And he says that rightfully ordered love, virtue, rightfully ordered love, starts with God at the center and expands out in concentric circles with that first which is most local to you. Starting with God, and then yourself, and then your immediate family, your wife, your children, your other family members, then your neighbors, and then everything else after that, and never surrendering near duties for faraway causes. Just a profound and beautiful statement that really gives some substance and grounding to what it means to be a Christian citizen. And lately, I've just been thinking a lot about St. Augustine and rightfully ordered love and charity, and how disordered things are politically for us here in America. How disordered our thinking is, how disordered our orientation is toward priority, and certainly geopolitical matters. And I'm not shy to say it. Look, you guys know the only other person I've ever let host this podcast is a Ukrainian Jew. Now, Professor Penn believes in Christ, so in that way, maybe he's a unicorn or anomaly in the Jewish community or of the Jewish people. But that's not necessarily true. As the record reflects, or the public census would suggest, there are approximately 300,000, maybe 400,000 Messianic Jews in the world, and a good portion of them live in Israel. So, the Jewish community and the Jewish people are no more monolithic than any other group of people, except for the fact that they have a concentration in a nation state called Israel that was created in 1949, I think. I'm sorry if I'm mistaken about the year. 1947 could be. Maybe that's United Nations. I get the two mixed up because they're so inextricably linked in history, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. So yeah, I'm not anti-Semitic. I grew up here in Hopkins, Minnesota, which is the second largest Jewish community in Minnesota, next to St. Louis Park, which is the number one, I think, most Jewish community or Jewish city in Minnesota. And Hopkins is a stone's throw from St. Louis Park anyway. It's really the same neighborhood, if you want to get technical about it. So I grew up around a lot of Jewish people and a lot of Jewish kids in high school. And I've been to Shabbat dinner on Thursday evenings, and I just have no animosity towards Jewish people. That being said, we can't have a culture or society in America where any group of people is beyond criticism or off limits in a discussion. It just doesn't work. That is just as incompatible with American culture as radical Islam. And I don't say that to make a false equivalency, because, the two things are very different. The other day, somebody asked me, what's more dangerous, radical Islam or Jewish supremacy? And I said, well, one means to use us, the other one means to kill us. And there is a rightful distinction to make between people who want to kill you in the immediate and people who want to use you in the immediate. Now, you could make a strong case, a strong philosophical, political, sociological, historical case that slavery or serfdom or being used by a person is tantamount to being a slave. And some American patriots, founding fathers, would say, give me freedom or give me death. Fair enough. But there still is a rightful distinction to make between people who want to kill you and people who want to use you. I would say the difference between radical Islam and Jewish supremacy is that one means to kill us and the other means to use us, at least in the short run. So, and that's not to say all Jewish people want to use us. There's probably zero utility to that statement. Again, we get to talk about people monolithically. We run into some serious roadblocks that are detrimental. They're not helpful in the end. The same way we talk about any other race or group of people, whether it's Christians, Muslims, blacks, whites, Latinos, Asians, whoever it is, it doesn't help. Most of the time, it doesn't help to talk about a group of people as a monolith. Still talk about a group of people. Still identify them by name. Talk about the black community as the black community, while never conceding that it means all of the black community. This used to be common sense. We used to be less of a snowflake culture where you could have a conversation about things and people understood what you meant. Now you have certain actors and certain people who have certain interests, whether they be in the mainstream media, in politics, in certain industries all around the world, that mean to weaponize the conversation and tell us the standards by which we can talk, by which we can express our ideas, our opinions, our quest for the truth, so to speak. And I saw Glenn Beck do that, by the way, in the last couple of days pertaining to Joe Kent. He made the erroneous claim that, in so many words, he said that there are too many podcasters now. There's too much alternative media. Too many people on social media get to have an opinion and they get paid to have an opinion. So they're saying things for clicks and traffic and to build an audience and to fatten their pockets is essentially what he was saying. And there's some truth to that as well. Nobody could, with good sense, would say that's without merit. However, it is somewhat incompatible with what America was built on. And America, fundamentally, let's just talk about fundamentals for a second. America's idea of free speech was built on a fundamental that the human spirit longs for freedom and it longs for the truth. Part of that longing for the truth is an innate curiosity, a God-given sort of biologically inherited curiosity that manifests through speech and sound. So when people have ideas, they often get posited or manifested into the world as opinions, which then become theories of a case and then become questions, which then become experiments that try and prove whether the theory is accurate or not. That was the basis of the scientific method as well, or at least it was supposed to be until it became scientism. And what Glenn Beck is describing in this clip, and I should probably bring it up here, but I didn't have it prepared for you. You can go see it on my X. But anyway, he's basically saying, Joe Kent, if you say that the president was duped or tricked and we've been pulled into this war by Israel, please provide the evidence on. Now, number one, Joe Kent's position in the government as the director of counterterrorism, the director at the Center for National Counterterrorism, whatever the acronym is, would probably make it illegal for him to share information, even if he had it. And Glenn Beck knows that, and all of us know that. That would be classified information, and he would be susceptible to charges under the Espionage Act if he was to disclose that to the general public. We've seen that already with Edward Snowden. And then we saw it again with Julian Assange, even though those were two different cases, because Edward Snowden worked in the intelligence community. Julian Assange was just a journalist. I think both were equally unjust Julian Assange is much more, because Julian Assange is a journalist, and we're going to watch now something play out with Tucker Carlson that may harken us back to Julian Assange. So, I mean, there's so much going on here on that front. My basic point about Glenn Beck's claim is American citizens are under no obligation to have evidence or facts before we form opinions or have curiosity or give a theory. It would be better if we had facts. It would be better if we had evidence. But we're under no obligation to speak with a prerequisite of facts or evidence. That's just not a prerequisite of free speech. If it were, the Democrats would have gone out of business a long time ago, and some Republicans as well. We, the American people, are free to say whatever it is that we want to say. We're free to our opinions and we're free to our theories. Even if the CIA would like to deem them conspiracy theories, we are free to say what we want to say. And that right can never be infringed upon. It would be better if we had evidence. Another point to make. The prerequisite of evidence as a standard to be able to say something actually becomes an anti-Christian mechanism because, and in this case, Glenn Beck and Ben Shapiro find alignment probably on this war and on Israel as a whole, as a political issue, where Glenn Beck being a Christian, Church of Latter-day Saints, Mormon, Glenn Beck being a Christian and Ben Shapiro being a religious Jew, would probably part company around the evidence for the crucifixion and resurrection of Christ, where Christians believe the crucifixion and the resurrection to be literal. Ben Shapiro would say, where is the proof of the resurrection? Give me the facts. Give me the evidence. Christians are called to spread the gospel and to need to, and it's believed, and this is an epistemological tool that the Christian forebears refer to as, sort of a foundational truth, where in spreading the gospel, if you're forced to give the evidence or the proof, the scientific proof, let's call it, scientific or verifiable proof of the resurrection, at each time it's requested, it actually impedes your ability to effectively spread the gospel. Now, surely Glenn Beck believes the resurrection to be literal as a Christian, and maybe that's a question people should ask him. Maybe that's a litmus question we should just start to ask people as Christians. Do you believe the resurrection to be literal? Because as the scripture says, and I point this out for a reason, because there's this Christian Zionist unity that claims the scripture kind of duty bounds American Christians or Christians all around the world to Israel and to the defense of, or the subsidization of Israel. And I just wonder if we actually have the fundamentals sorted out. And if we do, then fine, proceed. But if we don't, we better sort them out. And one of them is, do some of these Christians believe the resurrection is literal? Because the scripture, which is what links us to Israel by their account, people would debate that as well. Certainly a Catholic, more oriented view of theology would debate that. But so far as they say, the scripture ties Christians to Israel. Well, in the scripture, it says that we must believe the resurrection to be literal because it is literal. Not because we want to, not because we would like to, not because it's beneficial or expedient for our political agenda, because it's literal. Christ died on the cross for our sin, and he rose from the dead. This is where Glenn Beck and Ben Shapiro should part company about the epistemological requirements of knowledge and truth and the ability or the standard to talk or give their opinion or, in this case, spread the gospel. Interesting to think. Just an interesting thought experiment of what that conversation between Ben Shapiro and Glenn Beck would be like. Maybe they've had it before. I'm not aware of. But I would sure like to see it. This time is going to reveal a lot about not only what people think about American citizenship, which again, Glenn Beck asked the Israeli government for Israeli citizenship, and I think that's absolutely shameful. It shows a lack of value in American citizenship to ask another country for citizenship, no matter what country it is. And we shouldn't have dual citizens of any country, not just Israel, any country. I'm equally, uh, I'm equally critical of dual citizenships from China, dual citizens from China, from the UK, from South Africa, or Egypt, or anywhere else throughout the world. South Korea, doesn't matter. Australia, anywhere. We shouldn't have dual citizens. It shouldn't even be a thing, in my opinion. It shouldn't even be a thing. You got work visas, you work in another country, you work in another country. You don't need to be a citizen of two countries. You can't have loyalty to two countries. That's a disorder of citizenship and priority and the fundamentals, the foundations of what it means to be a citizen of a country. In my opinion, I don't like dual citizenship. You want to go live in another country? Go live in another country. Be a citizen there. You want to live here? You be a citizen here. You want to be a citizen here and go visit another country? You make that country be subservient to your American citizenship in a sort of trade, view of things, a sort of economic and trade view of things. American citizenship takes dominion on the world stage in terms of work travelers or consumers or purchasers of goods or contractors or whatever the case may be, because America's dollar is the currency of the entire global economy. So our citizenship will and should rightfully take precedent over any other citizenship. Meaning, if I want to work in South Korea, or I work there 3 months out of the year, 4 months out of the year, the South Koreans should allow me to work there without needing citizenship, and I should get full access to the country of South Korea while I'm there, as though I'm a citizen on my green card or work visa, whatever the case may be, because America subsidizes South Korea's security. So we're going to have to get down to this shit, right down to the nuts and bolts, to the nubs of the philosophy, the organizing principles in our culture. I digress. No dual citizenship. Glenn is suffering from an epistemological crisis. And really, it's just a plain old duplicitous doublespeak. Don't ask Joe Kent to provide evidence, and don't tell podcasters worldwide that too many people have too much to say without facts or evidence. Because a lot of times the facts and evidence are buried in places that average American citizens or common folk don't have access to. A lot of times the evidence or the facts needed to make a claim or to prove a certain thing, certainly corruption, certainly of our government, is hidden in a place that we can't get to, or at least we can't get to easily. So it's an unfair thing to ask for from the outset, in my opinion. As it pertains to Joe Kent specifically, it's unfair because obviously it's classified information, and he would be liable, criminally liable, if he was to divulge that to the public, no matter how true that information may be. And last but not least, a lot of these casual American and Christian sentiments are becoming dangerously heretic, blasphemous, and anti-Christian in their ethos. No, we'll be spreading the gospel because we believe Jesus Christ to be real, and we regard his crucifixion and resurrection as a fact. And we will not accept any superficial standard that calls for us to provide the evidence every time we decide to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. With that being said, I'm going to move on to today's topic. I just wanted to put that out there. You can go listen to more of that from this morning's podcast, The White House, on Free People Radio's channel, Rumble, X, Getter, War Rooms, Getter, I believe Rumble. Go to freepeopleradio.com. You can find and find it and listen to the White House. Yeah, the conversation about Israel is getting out of control, and I said many times, and I'll leave you with this on the topic. Israel is the rally point for the deep state. President Trump rebuked the deep state. President Trump laid a referendum for the deep state, and America voted against the deep state 3 times now, 2016, 2020, and 2024. 3 times the American people have said, we don't want the deep state. And that, again, that's what President Trump's presidency and his political career have represented, is a repudiation of the deep state. When you really get down to the bare bones of what the MAGA movement is and what the political platform has pushed against, you want to measure it by its enemies in some sense, it has pushed against the status quo of American politics and the status quo of our foreign policy, our role in the world, our deal, the trade deal, the deal with NATO, the deal with the United Nations. Israel is the rally point for the deep state for a very simple reason. Not because it's Israel, not because of the Jews per se. It's because it's the cornerstone of our foreign policy. Israel is the cornerstone of our foreign policy, and our foreign policy is the source of the military-industrial complex's power, which is the backbone, the bedrock, the animating mechanism of the deep state. The deep state's go-to institution is the military-industrial complex. I'm sorry, the military-industrial complex. That's why Israel is the rally point. And I knew when the Ukraine narrative started to falter, which they tried to run the Ukraine through as the new rally point for the deep state to sort of shield Israel from its role. Ukraine didn't work because it didn't have the historical and religious connection to American culture. As soon as the public sentiment about Ukraine started to falter, I knew then, back in 2022, 23, the rally point was going to be Israel. You can go back to I was saying it on the podcast in Hebrews. Me and Professor Penn probably went over it several times in our discussions. Israel's going to be the rally point here. It's coming. And here we are. Now, what's being said is that any question, any criticism of Israel's government or Bibi Netanyahu or our relationship with Israel is tantamount to anti-Semitism or Jew hatred. It's just a non-starter. What kind of precedent are we setting? What kind of precedent are we setting for the rest of society if I can't have a rightly ordered charity, if I can't live by the natural order, which would necessitate me to speak the truth and criticize things where criticism is warranted? If that's going to be called hatred on face value, we're no better than the left. We're no better than the people who claim racism, sexism, and homophobia for every single criticism of those individual groups. That's just what it is. It's not going to work. It's not honest, and because it's not honest, and it's at the base of it, because it's not built on honesty, it has no chance of being successful long term. Israel is the rally point for the deep state. That's not anti-Semitic. It's not even anti-Israel. Hell, I wish that Israel would kick the American deep state or the globalist deep state. But like Professor Penn so eloquently put it this morning, it's a user-usee relationship, and everybody's trying to get, jostle for position and how they're going to use that dynamic to their benefit. And hey, okay, but right now, the Republican Party and American citizens are losing their country rapidly. And for another country to take priority over that is absolutely inappropriate and wrongly ordered, extremely disordered. Take that for what you will. Okay, today, I just wanted to touch on this because I saw a video and I saw a number of videos about Michael B. Jordan, who is a great actor. by the way. Congratulations to Michael B. Jordan. He won Best Male Actor of the Year, I believe the award is, and at the Oscars. And see, we got to be able to do both things. We got to be able to deal with things with some nuance. Uh, I congratulate him because a lot of hard work goes into being an actor. It's a real skill. It's a real craft. And there is real mastery across all skills, across all domains. And they deserve our admiration for the most part. Now you get to some wicked skills and it's kind of evil, and there's some mad scientists out there. Their mastery probably doesn't deserve our praise or admiration. Maybe still our respect, because you have to respect your enemies, but not our admiration. Acting, not one of them. Acting is an important medium. Acting is, an evolution of storytelling that is now going digital, going technological, going hypervisual on the big screen, put into the form of movies that can condense down a story into a much shorter time frame and still give you that punch. That's why American culture is so uh, heavily tied to some of our iconic cinema masterpieces. To sort of encapsulate American culture, you can reference eras of history, and there's a movie that kind of encapsulates the ethos of that time period. It's a literary device, is what it is, and acting is a tool within that domain. And hats off to Michael B. Jordan. He's a good actor. The question becomes, what is Hollywood really doing? Is it telling a story? Is it shaping the narrative? Is it selling propaganda? Is it brainwashing the youth and the American public? Is it another mechanism to disorder our priorities? Well, that's on the American people to choose. I mean, it doesn't have to be one way or another. And I think in a lot of ways it's on each individual citizen to choose for themselves. But by and large, we see that there is a disordered obsession, interest, following of Hollywood and Hollywood celebrities. So much so, they do have a disproportional amount of followers, uh, uh, you know, weighted against their substance as people, I would say. You know, what they've contributed to society. Don't get me wrong. A great movie is great. I love movies. I'm a movie buff. I mean, I watch a lot of movies, so much so that I could repeat the lines, straight from certain movies because I watch the good ones over and over. They never lose their value. They have what they call great replay value. So I'm not knocking movies. The question becomes, what is the proper moderation? What is the proper order? What's the rightful order? And I think people are living vicariously through these celebrities, through these actors, through these actresses, through these Hollywood pop icons, pop figures. I mean, and when you really look, show me one profound thing they've ever said. Not on the big screen, not something that was written for them as a part of an archetype of human history that takes all of human history, puts them into a new, different iteration of a story that's already been told before. That's why so many of your Hollywood hero stories have a very biblical base to their story arc. It's because the arc of human history bends back towards the best stories that we've ever created. That's the Pareto distribution. For those who would be interested in, that's the distribution of the Pareto. A lot of the stories that because the Bible and the story of the hero narrative is such a good and compelling literary device and such a moving piece of historical fact, people go to it time and time again in one, variation or other. So I'm not talking about what actors or actresses may say on the big screen, because those statements are connected to an ancient oral and written tradition of human history. What have they said in their personal lives that's profound? Even more importantly, what have they done in their personal lives that's profound? And so, like me, I can say, hey, Michael B. Jordan is a good actor. I've seen him in some pretty good movies. He's done a good job. Congratulations to him winning an Oscar. It's the height of the acting world, and he won an award, and that's great. But what does it mean in the grand scheme of things? Very little. It means very little. And the Oscars is one of those events that dominates the media. It's like you got a war in Iran, you got the Oscars. It's like, forget the homeless and the hungry for a moment. The Oscars are on, honey. And I got no problem with that. But what's the rightful order of love and the rightful order of charity? We have to start to redefine that or recapture that, reprioritize and reorder that in America, or we're doomed. And I mean that literally. Now, there's one thing I want to touch on today when I was just thinking about the Oscars is some of the symbology, some of the symbols that subtly usher in thoughts, ideas, even spiritual frequency, right? And, the Oscar statue, it has some similarities, some striking similarities to, and I want to show for historical sake, the Oscar statue, I believe, was designed in 1928 by one of the art directors from MGM Studios. I think his name was Cedric something. I forget his last name. But anyway, he was the art director at MGM Studios, and he's the one who designed the original Oscar statue. In 1927, there was a movie that came out called Metropolis. And I'm going to show you a little bit here. Well, first, let's watch the Oscar acceptance speech here from Michael B. Jordan, and then I want to show you a little bit about Metropolis, the movie Metropolis.
Michael B. Jordan.
I don't know who that is, but maybe it's Mom.
This is the first Oscar win and nomination for Michael B.
There's some other
Jordan.
people there. Another good actor there. It's a nice suit Michael B. Jordan's wearing. It's got that Asian vibe to it. It's got sort of oriental suit with no lapels. I'm a menswear guy, so I really like that. There's Doom coming. Nice suit he's wearing. Best lead actor.
Man, God is good. God is good. And
Wait. God is good. Well, an interesting moment already. Man comes up there and thanks God. There is a spiritual warfare taking place at all times, and good and evil waxes and wanes, ebbs and flows. Even in Hollywood, you get a lead actor who steps up, wins an Oscar, kind of the top Oscar lead actor at a moment that's very controversial around religious and political lines, and he thanks God. The question is, what God does he really mean? And only he knows that, and only he can really answer that for himself, and only God knows that. But at least, hey, thanking God. I mean, that's a step. Let's hear what Michael B. Jordan has to say here.
yeah, Mama, what's up? Y'all know how I feel about my mother and my father's here. Your pops, where you at? My dad came in from Ghana. He flew in from Ghana to be here. My brother, my sister's here. My family. I want to thank Warner Brothers. I want to thank Mike and Pam for believing in this dream, this vision of Ryan Coogler, and betting on the culture and betting on original ideas and original artistry. And you're an amazing, amazing person. I'm so honored to call you a collaborator and a friend. And you gave me the opportunity and space for me to to be seen. And I love you too, bro. Love you to death. I would like to thank my incredible cast. Wumi, thank you so much for giving Smoke opportunity to be him. Haley at home, she's getting ready to have a baby right now. Thank you so much for being the other half of Stack. Miles, Delroy, Jamie, everybody, Lily, Omar, the entire cast. I thank you guys for supporting me through this. My team, Phil Sun, Greg Sluitt, Lindsey Gallen. Man, y'all. I stand here because of the people that came before me. Sidney Poitier, Denzel Washington, Halle Berry, Jamie Foxx, Forrest Whitaker, Will Smith, and to be amongst those giants, amongst those greats, amongst my ancestors, amongst my guys. Thank you, everybody in this room and everybody at home for supporting me over my career. I feel it. I know you guys want me to do well, and I want to do that because you guys bet on me. So thank you for keep betting on me. And I'm gonna keep stepping up, and I'm gonna keep being the best version of myself I could be. So I just want to say thank you for everybody in this room that had something to do with my success. I love you guys, and everybody at home who supported Sinners, who went to go see the movie once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times. Thank you, because you guys made this movie what it.
That's pretty much the end of the speech here, and I just want to say we're going to dive into one. These people aren't all bad people. These people aren't all bad people. I mean, you can't listen to that and think Michael B. Jordan's a bad person. Thank God. Thank his mother, his father. He honored. He's going down the checklist of what is a Christian orientation of human life. Rightfully ordered love, rightfully ordered charity. He is thanking the people who helped him win the award, who helped him in his career. And he's acknowledging history where, there's only several black men to have ever won lead actor. They're few and far between. It's not that the Oscars has been around for thousands of years. So, I mean, it's worthwhile mentioning that it's rare that a black lead actor wins the lead actor award. You can count them on one hand. It's Sidney Poitier, Forrest Whitaker, Jamie Foxx, Will Smith. I think I'm missing one in there somewhere. Denzel Washington. How could I forget Denzel Washington? So, I mean, there's only 5 there that I can think of off the top of my head, maybe 6. So, I mean, a small group. And, how important is that? I don't know. I mean, how important is this in general? It's, yes, Hollywood and movies mean something. And in a lot of ways, the stories we tell drive culture. And a lot of these people, I think, are very well intended, and they're not bad people, but some of them have very bad ideas. And one of the very bad ideas that's permeated Hollywood culture, at least of late, is this reverse racism where everything is white people's fault except the white people who, I guess, subsidize and fund or produce or help create these films in Hollywood. I mean, none of those white Hollywood liberals are a part of the racist white demographic, only the people who wear the red MAGA hats. And that's just a really bad idea. I mean, just from a first principle sort of logical and critical thinking standpoint, it doesn't pass the sniff test. It wouldn't pass the sniff test on film. I mean, if you saw that ideology played out on the big screen, if there were any conservative movie studios in Hollywood that would show the story from the other lens, just the extrapolate the horror, the horrifying implications of the way the political culture and zeitgeist has been warped, you wouldn't be on the side of the Hollywood white liberal after an hour and 40-minute feature film. Let's just say that. But, I mean, when you control a lot of the information and the content and what makes it to the big screen and what doesn't, you can shape the narrative. This ceremony, this award ceremony, is a part of that narrative. And so highlighting the significance of black men winning the lead actor award is also a part of that narrative. Doesn't mean that these black actors didn't do a great job, because they certainly did. All the actors I mentioned, I love them to death. I think they're great. Sidney Poitier, incredible actor. Forrest Whitaker, another incredible actor. Will Smith and Jamie Foxx, incredible actors. Denzel Washington, I mean, all-time classic, maybe the best actor of all time, when it's all said and done, right up there at the top for sure. And Michael B. Jordan's a good actor. I mean, he's a good young actor. And you can kind of get the sense that even this ceremony here is a passing of the baton in some respects to Michael B. Jordan, and Hollywood works like that, right? I mean, they kind of pick people somewhat based on who you're connected to and your network and everything that goes on behind the scenes, and then somewhat based on your talent, your looks. Michael B. Jordan, young, handsome guy that he is, he's he's primed up to be the next guy, so to speak. I'm sorry here. I'm just trying to get my cameras right. Yeah, there we go. So he's primed up to be the next guy, and God bless him. More power to him. This isn't something that we should be upset about or hate or envy. We should celebrate that this young man is found a successful career, and he's found a lot of success in that career. The question becomes, what is, if anything, is going on much bigger than Michael B. Jordan and who he is as an individual person? How can people use individuals who may be good people to push bad ideas? Let's talk about the movie Sinners for a minute, and just bear with me while I bring this up, because I just thought about bringing this up in real time here. I want to bring up the movie Sinners, and then I'm going to talk about Metropolis, because I remember when Sinners came out, and I mean, I never went to go see it. I'm just going to be honest. I didn't see the movie, so I can't even really say whether or not Michael B. Jordan did a good job. I just know Michael B. Jordan to be a good actor, and I would assume that he does a good job in any movie that he does. But here, let's just go ahead with Wikipedia's overview of the movie. You got Ryan Coogler, who is, one of these black directors that's gotten a lot of attention in recent years for films that directly deal with with racial themes, right? And let's just read it here. I don't know if you can see this. I'll blow it up for you so you people at home can see what I'm looking at here. And this is a good function we got where I can bring up content. So hope you can see. We're going to start doing some of it. Every Wednesday, we're going to do episodes like this where we bring up content, and you can kind of walk through the exercise of research with me, because it's an important piece of being a citizen, especially now. I mean, holy hell, right? No pun intended. Sinners is a 2025 American film produced, written, and directed by Ryan Coogler, set in 1932, very racially controversial time period in American history. In the Mississippi Delta, very racially controversial time. And the film stars Michael B. Jordan, plays dual roles, so he plays two identical twin brothers, which is very difficult to do, by the way. Hats off to him for that. I didn't see the movie, but it's not easy to play two characters. Another person who I saw do it very well is, who's the guy? His name is, my goodness, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. He just did the movie Mob Town, and he also did the movie Legend, where he played both of the Craig twins set in Great Britain, two mafia British gangsters, the Craig twins. I can't even believe I'm forgetting his name. It's unbelievable. He played Venom. Can't believe I'm forgetting his name. Anyway, so it's not easy to play a dual role and do it well, and it would appear that this is what he did in this movie. So anyway, they return to their hometown in the Jim Crow South, where they are confronted by a supernatural evil. You got these co-stars, okay, and I want to go down and let's see here if they give us a little bit more of the plot. Okay, here we go. In 1932, identical twins and World War I veterans, Elijah Smoke and Elias Stack, so two very biblical names, by the way, return to Clarksdale, Mississippi after 7 years in Chicago working for the Chicago mob. Okay. Using money stolen from criminal syndicates, they purchased an abandoned sawmill from landowner hogwood to start a juke joint for the local black community. Typical. Their younger cousin, Sammy, a singer and guitarist, joins them despite his pastor father, Jedediah's, warnings about blues music being sinful. So, I mean, you're already starting to see how this theme is sort of building up about this, this movie. The twins recruit a pianist, Delta Slim, as a performer, local Chinese shopkeeper couple Grace and Bo Chow as suppliers, field worker Cornbread as a bouncer, and Smoke's wife, Annie, as a cook. Annie believes her hoodoo practices kept the twins safe, but Smoke doubts them for failing to prevent their infant daughter's death. Stack runs into ex-girlfriend Mary, whom he abandoned to protect her from the white community. Elsewhere, Irish immigrant vampire Remick shelters from Choctaw vampire hunters with a married Klansman couple whom he turns into vampire thralls. So, I mean, there's going to be a supernatural throwdown here, and this story is obviously dealing with the twisted, sort of convoluted nature of sin and the supernatural. So, trying to deal with the supernatural, this movie's trying to deal with the supernatural in some sense, and you got two people who grew up under a pastor, and they're going to have to fight this supernatural power. Okay, vampires, got it. I didn't see it, but okay. I have to go back and watch it, and then I can give you some more comment about it. But I want to bring you to this for a moment, and if you can see this on the screen, there was a movie in the late 1920s, 1927, called Metropolis, and Metropolis dealt with machine Machina Mensch, which is the human machine, and it was essentially a humanoid robot or a robot that was a false idol named Maria. It's a false idol, also known as the false Maria, and it was a humanoid robot who the people had put up as a false idol. And I just want to draw your attention to this picture of Maria, which in the movie is depicted in this way in front of a satanic cross, a satanic star. And that is the Baphomet star right there behind Maria on the wall. And it harkens the connection that I've talked about for many years between Satanism, secular humanism, and the scientific method as being a fundamental heresy of the West. The robot becomes a false idol. And I just want to say, this came out in 1927. The Oscar statue was created in 1928. And here's another picture of the false Maria. And Fritz Lang's has filmed The Metropolis. And let's take a look at this Oscar statue here. So let's bring one of these Oscar statues up. I mean, you all know what the Oscar statue looks like. And but people have to understand symbols. People have to understand symbols and how symbols work and how the occult think. The occult feel that symbols can be smuggled into a domain, into a community, into a person's life, or into a person's thought process, into a person's even lexicon in the words that they use, and have the intended occultic effect on the real world without the people who are participating knowing. And look at the Metropolis robot. Again. Just look at it. Now, whether or not the designer of the Oscar statue intended for the Oscar statue to look so similar to the false Maria or to the robot, the human robot of Metropolis, maybe things are connected. Maybe evil and wickedness connects on a supernatural level without people actually knowing, without people's knowledge. Maybe. Or maybe there is some obvious short degree of separation between the MGM art director, and a movie like Metropolis. And let's just go look up Metropolis. Maybe we'll find it right here. I didn't even check this or cross-reference, but it could certainly be that the movie had some connection with MGM Studios. And even if it didn't, even if it didn't, Hollywood's a small town. Everybody knows that, right? So, I guess the Epstein files and the Harvey Weinstein case and many of the other Hollywood horror stories would indicate that it's a very tight-knit community. Also very influential Jewish lobby in Hollywood and in entertainment. Nobody can even deny that. So it begs the question of what's actually going on in Hollywood and what's the animating philosophy. Now, some people will say to even say that is anti-Semitic, to say that is too far. You can't say that Jewish people have heavy influence in Hollywood, which I think is just crazy. Again, another instance where it doesn't help anybody. Certainly doesn't help Jews. Certainly doesn't help your average everyday Jew that lives in St. Louis Park, Minnesota. If there is an evil occultist, evil occult community there in Hollywood that's connected through maybe Jews and Christians and Muslims alike, or all kinds of different people, it doesn't help to dismiss or disregard that a group of people in Hollywood seem to have a very interesting satanic bent, satanic thing going on. There's something going on with Satanism in our world's elite, and I think that's what's becoming more and more clear. And here's an example all the way back. Well, it's becoming clear, but it's not so clear how long it's been going on. Maybe all the way back to since time immemorial, since the resurrection of Christ. Maybe this goes all the way back to the resurrection of Christ, and even before that. 1927. You're looking at a pentagram in a movie about a humanoid robot. And maybe life imitates art. Maybe art imitates life. Maybe we are fulfilling. We're watching a self-fulfillment of the prophecy of the stories that we've told, the stories we've created, and the stories we've told. Maybe that's what's happening here. But we're on the verge of artificial intelligence becoming the genuine representation of the scriptural mark of the beast. And here was a movie where the pentagram is directly represented in this film behind a quantum leap in technology. And it looks strikingly like the Oscar statue. It's the Oscar statue melted with less definition, but it's the exact motif of the Oscar statue. Now, allegedly, the Oscar is sculpted or was created after a man. But when you lack humanity, what's the degree of separation in your mind between the men and the robots? Hence, artificial intelligence and humanoid robots. I'm just giving you guys things to think about. I know that may sound like a conspiracy theory, but they were created a year apart. The statue in this movie Metropolis with the false Maria, the false idol, the humanoid robot who in the story was held up as a false idol, and wreaked chaos on the people there in this film. Food for thought. It's just how symbols make their way into society, into culture. And sometimes we don't even recognize it. We've seen that recently with ad campaigns and things like that. It happens often. It's happening often. Sometimes people don't even hide it. Sometimes they're just right out in the open with the Satanism, like Megan Fox, who recently did a risque and provocative, half-naked fishnet lingerie photo shoot. And I see all these women who claim that the West is nothing but a misogynistic male-dominated patriarchy, repost Megan Fox as though it's some form of female liberation to be able to dress provocative and sexually objectify themselves. Okay. It seems like a pretty shallow liberation. But it's obviously every woman's choice to make what their and collectively what the liberation of women really looks like. And up until this point, we just have to be, straight up. The liberation of of women in the feminist form has crushed American culture all the way back to the beginning in the rightful order of love, the rightful order of charity, the natural order. There is an order to things. Christianity, the Bible, is a guide to give order to a species that's trying to fight against its biological instincts, its biological hardwiring, it's trying to transcend the instincts, the animalistic instincts that we can see are hardwired into our DNA, from one perspective or another. Does that mean that we evolved from monkeys? No, I don't believe that. I'm a Christian. We just don't believe in evolution. And we should probably get back to some genuine Christian, apropos to what I was saying about this new Christian nationalist schism that's happening in the MAGA movement about Israel and Jews and Christians and Protestants and Catholics. We should probably get back to some core theology around an idea like evolution. We may find some fruit there that's vitally necessary for the conversation. We didn't evolve from monkeys. I'm not buying it. Sorry. I'm just not buying it. We didn't come from monkeys. No. Mm-mm. But it would appear that human beings have a very similar hierarchical structure to our species as other species of the animal kingdom. And we do have, the animal kingdom, across the animal kingdom we do tend to see similar traits, similar physiological and sociological traits across the kingdom, across different species. So, human beings are trying to overcome the biological and animalistic instinct that's hardwired into some piece of our DNA. And the Bible helps us do that. The Bible helps create that order, a natural order, the order of charity, the order of love. You could extrapolate that to the order of politics. Feminism has inverted the order. It's warped the order. There is no order. People ask me, what's the connective tissue between the radical left, the far left communists, and the radical jihadists? It's a propensity towards self-destruction, but it's also a disorder of love and charity. You can tell that the radical element of Islam has a disordered love and charity because they have consciously selected for self-destruction and suicide as a means to become close to God, and there's nothing remotely appropriate about that. That's a perversion of Scripture. It's a perversion of what is holy and what is told to us in the Bible, in the Old Testament, which Islam draws its Quran from. Suicide bombers are never an appropriate response to any situation, let alone to try and become close to God for salvation. It's pretty much a given that indiscriminately killing innocent people for your own narcissistic end goal, whether it be in real life or in the eternal, is probably not going to be looked at as a good deed, a good thing by God. I don't know how Islam got there, but they're there. They're really there, obviously, and they're willing to die. They're serious about it, and we have to be serious about the fact that they're serious about it, because they are. But we have a similar impulse towards self-destruction here in this country, and right now it's being led by the feminist movement. Nobody wants to say it. It's the elephant in the room. But we're fighting a two-front war. One, a front against foreign invaders, foreign illegal invaders, but also foreign forces and foreign interests, as well as American citizens, domestic threats, domestic enemies that want to subvert us from within. We're the 25%. We're the 1/4 fighting off the 3/4. We're the 1/3 fighting off the 2/3 of the rest of the world in that respect. And you got the Chinese, the secular humanist, totalitarian tyrannical regimes, anti-God, anti-human, anti-American, anti-freedom, anti-free speech, anti-freedom of religious expression. So we're facing enemies on a multitude of fronts. But the first thing we have to get in order is home. Rightly ordered love, rightly ordered charity. There has to be a rightful order to things, and the rightful order is first that which is most local to you. That which is most local to you. The first thing we have to be dealing with is America. What's wrong with America right now? Why are we having a crisis where, Kamala Harris was a few percentage points away from becoming president of the United States? Why did we have a president, Joe Biden, who could barely put together a sentence, and everybody in the mainstream media told us that he was fit for office, that he had that his mind was fit to be the most powerful man in the world with the most dangerous nuclear codes or the most dangerous weapons in human history? How did we arrive at this point? I think a lot of it can be blamed on modern day feminism and historical feminism. And I'll go into that more on another episode. We'll make an episode just about feminism. But I want to touch on this Michael B. Jordan Oscar award, lead actor award, because again, we're not here to say, and we need to stop making these wholesale indictments of any of these professions, acting being one of them. We know Hollywood's gotten weird and Hollyweird. Jamie Foxx talked about it. Dave Chappelle talked about it. Denzel Washington talked about it. Right? A lot of these people are already blowing the whistle in their own way, even if they can't get off the gravy train completely because it's their lifelong work. It's like a person who's, played in the NBA. I feel for you. I understand. It's your life's work. And a part of it, it's just like America. And I want to be a little bit more compassionate for some of these people because the nihilism can be detrimental as well, where let's say American citizens looked at our government right now that's obviously captured by special interests and lobbies and say, and American citizens just wholesale said, hey, I'm not American anymore. To hell with America. A lot of people on the left are trying to actually swing that narrative into legislation. There is no America. We're a global empire of woke identity politics. But what if, a majority of Americans said that wouldn't be proper, that wouldn't be appropriate, that wouldn't be the right response, that wouldn't be a rightful order to love or charity? The rightful response is to plant your feet and try your best to change and influence the thing with righteousness. Same thing of being in on a team. You don't quit the team. You try and help the team. You be a leader on your team. I said this earlier today about Nike, and people ask me sometimes, well, why do you still wear Nikes, given that they're a Chinese tributary company, or the fact that Nike's gone so woke, or whatever the case may be? Why do you still wear Nike? Because number one, they make a good product. Let's talk about the craftsmanship. That has to count for something. But also because as an athlete, I've been a part of the Nike brand since I was 15 years old. I put blood, sweat, and tears into the Nike brand. I played for 2 Nike elite high schools. I played for 2 Nike elite colleges, and I played for a Nike elite AAU program. Then I was drafted in the NBA when the NBA was transitioning to become a Nike brand also. So I have great relationships with people at Nike who are also good people, who may be influenced by bad politics or bad ideas or bad people above them that have more power and control over the direction of the company, or let's say the propaganda or the messaging, than they do at an individual level. Some of the people at Nike, just like some of the people in the Democrat Party, just like some of the people in the black community who wear a Black Lives Matter t-shirt, find agreement with me or conservatives or Republicans or Christians, American patriots, on a number of issues. The question is, can we find that agreement? And not in some milquetoast, middle ground, cheap sort of kumbaya way, but is there a real place in America's future where we can find enough of an agreement on core fundamental issues and principles that we can save this republic and save this country. That's to be decided. I mean, I hope to be, I pray to be able to facilitate that type of dialogue and that type of conversation, but I have a limited reach. If you're watching the podcast and you're still with us right now, make sure that you subscribe, you like, drop a comment. Please, comments, I think, help the algorithm. We're going to do some things as well in terms of shorts and clips to try and push the content a lot further. My social media has been growing a lot on Facebook and on X and on Instagram, mostly due to the PBS Frontline interview. If you haven't seen that, you can go back a few episodes and watch the full PBS Frontline interview, but a couple of great viral clips came out of that, and I think I was able to articulate what a lot of America is really feeling. Hey, there are no more party lines. I'm wearing the Make Minnesota Great Again hat, and I'm a part of the MAGA movement. I'm a MAGA candidate. I'm not ashamed of that. I would never say, like some of these other Republicans who never really supported President Trump, and they don't support President Trump for the good things that President Trump has done, which I think all of us can agree he's done some very good things. Certainly he has challenged the status quo of what a prototype of a presidential candidate is supposed to be. And we should all invite that, whether you like President Trump or not. Because we all sort of agree, like what I said in the PBS Frontline interview, there are no more party lines. There are no more party lines. There are only patriots and nationalists and globalists. There are only people who believe in having a country, a United States of America, and there are people who don't. And I was, the response from the interviewer was, well, there are still people with party perspectives. And I said, yeah, for the theater, right? For the theater, there aren't a handful of America First senators in the entire United States Senate. And he says, well, who are you going to collaborate? I tell the truth. I'm not going to collaborate with traitors. I'm not collaborating with traitors. And I really feel that way. There is a coalition to be built in this country that's based on enough agreement, but clarification of core principles, all the way back to the earliest archetypes and stories and knowledge and wisdom of the human species that have been transferred across the eternal house of history. There's a coalition in here somewhere that adds enough agreement for those core issues, not compromising core issues or principles, that we can save this country. We have to find that now. It's been another episode of Please Call Me Crazy. Got a short 1 hour in and out for this week's news and reaction episode. Next Wednesday, we'll have a lot more short clips for our reaction episode, and we try and kill two birds with one stone, and me being able to do the episode and then be able to transfer a lot of those clips or those shorts about specific content right onto the social media machine and get that stuff out and about. But if you like the content, again, please subscribe to the channel. You might have to do it more than once because I've been shadow banned multiple times. I get a lot of people who say I'm subscribed to your stuff. I never get notifications. So you may have to subscribe more than once. Drop a comment, hit the like button, share with somebody if you like the content. And we're going to bring as much content to you as we possibly can. I'm running for United States Senate, so the time is tough. Timing is tough, but we're going to get the Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Please Call Me Crazy right here, 9 p.m. Central every week, and really try and tune into the morning show. And we would really love for people to call in to the morning show. In fact, I think I'm going to add one more show to the week on Sundays after the Alex Jones show. And if InfoWars goes away and Alex doesn't have enough room for me on his new network, because I'm sure getting that up and running is going to be a full-time task, and all hands are going to need to be on deck, and a lot of moving parts. So if Sunday goes away on, for me to host InfoWars, then I'll substitute it with a call-in show for 2 hours on Sunday evening. And if it does stay, if I do continue to do InfoWars, then I'll do a 1 hour call-in show after InfoWars where people can call in and talk about whatever we discussed on InfoWars that night. So we'll be doing a call-in show on Sunday here in the next couple of weeks. We'll roll that out and try and get to the White House, 7 to 9 a.m. Central. over at Free People Radio. You can find it on all social media. I usually repost the link or the live stream from my ex. Get in the chat. We want to hear from you. We would love people to try and become moderators of the chat, and certainly we'd love people to call in. And we have the Zoom function, so if you call in or you send us an email, you get vetted ahead of time. We'll put you up as a real Zoom, visual interviewer. If not, we're just doing by phone because we don't want anybody to flash and anything like that unexpectedly and get the stream pulled down and stuff. All these crazy things you got to worry about now because the internet is wild, wild west. But we want people to get involved in the conversation, so we're starting to roll out that piece of it. Another element of that is if you visit freepeopleradio.com, we got great merchandise. We've updated the website. We've updated the store. We got a lot of fun stuff coming out. I'm really excited about for the core audience of this podcast. One of them being the NFT and art collection, or exclusive art designs and things that we're going to be unrolling. Because I believe in art. I love art. I don't have a lot of art in my home. I don't have a lot of art that I've kept. I've had art over the years. Some of it I've kept, some of it I've lost. But I have huge respect for art, and I just think we have some great quotables and moments and things like that, especially being on the campaign trail and even in the podcast of things that can be turned into art, digital art, things that you all in the audience can feel good about having limited editions of as a part of this core audience of this podcast as we continue on, because I'm 34, God willing, we'll be here for the next 15, 20 years like some of the other, great podcasters and commentators and broadcasters that are there now or around now at that age, that 50, 55 plus age. But we want to start to build a collection of art, limited edition art that you can have physical art, or digital art that you can then take and blow up into the, the specific size of art that you want for your house or office or your gym or whatever it is that you're going to do with it. So that's coming. You can see that on the freepeopleradio.com website right now. It's coming soon, but you can get a feel for what the new website looks like. Store, we got merchandise. You can also become a patron of the show. If you go to the support page, we have 4 donation platforms. One of them is the art that's not there yet, but we have 4 donation platforms or membership platforms: Patreon, Locals, and Donor Box. On Locals, we're going to have exclusive content. You sign up there, you'll be, connected to exclusive content. We'll probably do once a week a conversation or chat just with the people of that membership tier, and so you'll be able to ask me questions directly there as well. On Patreon, we're going to do getting involved with the podcast, being administrators, being content creators and things like that. So we're going to try and engage the audience that way. And Donor Box is just a simple one-time donation. If you like the content, you like the podcast, you want to support because you think we should have more conversation like this, we got the Donor Box for your one-time donors. That's it for me for today. I hope you enjoyed the conversation this Wednesday evening. It's great to be back here with the Please Call Me Crazy audience. Make sure that, again, you like, subscribe, share, drop a comment. If you think I'm batshit crazy, we'll take that comment as well. And we hope to see you on at 7 a.m. Tomorrow morning, or maybe in the 8 a.m. hour if you're a late riser, on your drive to work. Call in, drop a question in the chat. We answer some of the chat questions as well in the morning. The White House, Free People Radio. That's Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central. And we'll be back with you on Friday. I think Friday we're going to have a guest episode. I think the great Maureen Bannon is going to be in Minnesota for a separate event, political event. I got a debate or a couple of speeches happening this weekend. So I think the great Mo Bannon will be in Minnesota this weekend. If that's the case, I plan to try and get a podcast done with Mo while she's here. And that'll be our Friday guest episode. We'll see if that actually happens. If not, we have another guest in mind, and we'll be having a couple of guests on over the next couple of episodes because we got some catching up to do. A lot of great guests. General Michael Flynn is on deck for a guest episode here in the next couple of weeks. So I'm excited about that. General Flynn, thank you for your service and having endorsed me for United States Senate. It's a great honor. General Flynn served this country with distinction, and he's still out there on the front line trying to speak the truth, as uncomfortable as that gets sometimes, as that may be. So we got a lot of guests coming up in the next couple of weeks. Stay tuned to Please Call Me Crazy. Again, drop a comment, hit the like button, subscribe, and we hope to see you tomorrow morning. Godspeed. God bless you. God bless America. Until next time. Everything's up on the bar. We're all in. We get to decide. Do you want to live on your knees, or do you want to die on your feet fighting? That's the decision you get to make now.